Well, I'm excited. Apparently the street isn't. The stock is down, but man, as usual, holy mackerel, what a future we've got with Tesla. At least that's what I think. Maybe Nicholas Gibbs thinks differently. Nicholas, you just got back from a ride in 12.5. Do we have a big future ahead of us?
Yes, we do have a big future ahead of us. I don't know enough about 12.5 yet, though.
Okay.
I'm confused with it right now.
All right. All right, then.
So,
No reporting.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I can tell you a little bit if you want. So pulling out of my neighborhood, uh, there's like two like slight little dips in the road, and there's like a lot of like brick cobblestone type roads. And normally, every 12 version has been like it goes slower intensely because it recognizes the road type. And I'm pretty sure there's like a I don't know if it's like a gyro, but like an accelerometer in the car to be able to tell. Uh, but it's like it had no awareness of that. It just went. And yeah, it just went to the speed limit. I'm like, all right, like you don't drive this fast. But other than that, it it felt like 12.4.3 to me. Like everything felt perfect still. So I need to drive it more. I just did a really quick loop just
Right.
because I had it. And I was like, well, I might as well try it before I get on with Randy. So I'm a little disappointed, if I'm being honest,
Yeah,
about
yeah.
how it came out of the neighborhood. I'm like, all right, like we've been nailing this, like, like the difference in topography of the road types. And now you really can't drive comfortably that fast on roads like that.
Right,
So
right. All right. Interesting. Well, we'll listen for more from you over the next few days. Elon says that the future is Robotaxi and Optimus. Oh, that's a shock. The rest will be small potatoes. No shock. If you believe that Tesla can get to autonomy, then you should buy the stock, period. There was nothing new there. But even some of the guys who were asking the questions seemed to be asking that over and over again, like they didn't understand it. What did you think?
yeah, I think Elon has been set on this for a while, saying that the future is robotaxi. I mean, he said this a while ago when um, Tesla Owners Club Silicon Valley was out there and Kilowatts interviewing him in Austin. He said, like, it's literally robotaxi or nothing, right? That's
Right,
the valuation of the company.
right.
And after that, it's Optimus. But I think he's just trying to get that clear in everybody's head. And I think he's being a little more forward about it on these earnings call because he sees where it's going.
Right.
And I think it's also, while I'm sure some people are gonna be like, Elon, shut up. We're gonna go into now. I think being that explicit about it is good because it shakes out more of the I don't know, weaker people in the company that result in a lot of fluctuation in the stock. And it
Right.
also it's a very, for all the employees, everything, it sets a very, very clear message. This is our focus. This is our singular mandate. Everything else is irrelevant.
Right. So I purposely didn't listen to anybody else's earnings call analysis. I don't know. Did you end up on a call on the earnings analysis? Okay. So,
Yes.
so I saw two or three things in this call that were kind of earth-shatteringly big news. And I'm thinking that the folks that are driving the stock down right now did not pick up on these between the lines pieces of information. Everybody's concentrating on lower average selling price or the fact that the margins were lower, but there was big announcements. Would you want to see if you and I are aligned on this?
Sure. Who goes first?
You go first.
I go first?
Yes.
Okay. Um, well, he did project for FSD unsupervised by the end of the year,
Right.
when asked. So, and that was asked under the guise of when do you think the first robotaxi ride would happen? And he said, well, that means unsupervised FSD. And, he was saying like if he plots it out, he could see it end of this year. So I thought that was pretty big.
All right. Then my first one that I noticed was that Tesla Shanghai I'm sorry, the 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 mega factory in Shanghai apparently is going to have way more productive capacity, or they're going to increase the productive capacity here in California, because he said when that is finished, the capacity will be 3 times, not 2 times current levels. That is a very, very, very big deal in terms of revenues and profits.
Yeah, I would say so. He said double or triple capacity, I
He
think is what he
started to
said.
say double, and then he went, well, triple. So I think what he was saying is that the idea is that they would be, everybody's head is around the idea it would be double, but that in fact, whether it's because they can get more out of each unit, out of each factory, or whether it's because they're going to make the one in Shanghai bigger, whatever the reason is, to me, this is the first time anybody's even remotely suggested it was going to be more than double. So that's a big dollar number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would also say the deployment of FSD. He essentially said China, Europe, pretty much everywhere, they're going to start requesting regulatory approval with 12.5 or 12.6. So the reason I think that's a really big deal is because I think the rest of the world is more excited to get and test FSD than what they are here in the States. And that's not really, it should be surprising, but it's not. Um, it's, some life's just weird sometimes. You would think the country that leads in innovation around the world would be the country where you have the most, you know, tech adopters,
Yeah.
but it's not.
Yeah.
Instead, you have like, China is leading, and they are a very tech forward country, yet they're not the ones that really lead in technology. They lead in adoption. And even the Europeans, we know they want it. We know, they're clamoring for it. So it's funny, but the fact that they'll have a chance to get it, and I think that'll be meaningful because I would be hard pressed to believe that pretty much every person in China who has a Tesla wouldn't try and subscribe to it.
At least test it and then make a decision. But even if it's only 5% or 3% that take it up immediately, that's a very substantial change. Plus, once the FSD is complete, and I don't think that means, I think when he talks about FSD complete, he's just saying that it will have all of the things, it'll do all the things it's supposed to do, not necessarily that it'll be level 4 or level 5. When it's FSD complete, then you get 100% of the revenue and the profits from the $8,000 of the $100 a month. So I think you get 100% now of the $100 a month, but the 8,000 and all of the amounts that are now in escrow, so to speak, that have not been taken so far, that'll all come straight to the bottom line when that becomes complete. So we could be looking at all of that happening between now and the end of the year, because he said he thought that he would have regulatory approval in China and Europe and around the world by the end of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be massive.
That could be Elon time, but that's a huge deal.
All right, your turn. What else? What else?
Okay. Let's see. The other one was Dojo. He says they're doubling down on Dojo, and he sees a path for competing with NVIDIA due to the massive demand for NVIDIA chips. Now, up until now, my thought was that what he was going to do was going to create something like a front end to the chips that would allow people that can't afford, to buy these things, that would be able to get access to a learning system. I thought that's what he was headed towards in terms of monetizing Dojo. But today, unless you understood it differently and you're way smarter on this stuff than I am, what it sounded to me like was he's straight up going to compete with NVIDIA by selling Dojo chips in, directly.
No. No. That it's for them to use it internally, not to sell externally.
No, he said competing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different type of competing. Different type of competing.
I don't think.
Not competing. Yeah.
I'll have to go back and look at the transcript on that one. That'll be interesting. We'll have that conversation later in the week, maybe. I'll call you up and we'll talk about it. I think he
Yeah.
missed. You don't think he's gonna? That's how he laid it out.
No, it's because even if you were going to get in that space, you wouldn't sell it. You would rent it. Like, no,
You'd rent it. Okay.
yeah, you wouldn't even do that. NVIDIA right now wants to try to get into the renting space. I mean, you, you don't want to get into a one-time sell when you can make recurring revenue on the same hardware.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, and
So
the problem that Tesla has is they don't have ability to get enough compute. That was his whole point in this part of the conversation, was that there's so much demand,
Right.
not enough supply, and so Nvidia does what they have to do: increase pricing. Right. Well, it just gets too expensive at a certain point, and so he's saying, well, Tesla has to do. They have to double down on Dojo. It's existential at that point. But what I've been arguing on this channel for a while is that Elon's been sandbagging, that he's doing this intentionally to keep in good graces with Jensen. I'm of the opinion that they don't have a path. They don't need to double down on Dojo. They already doubled down on Dojo. They already know the path. They already know what they're doing. They're just trying to suck up everything they can before they use their own supply. It's no different than batteries, right? We'll buy all the batteries before we rely on our batteries. Our batteries are the backup plan, but let's suck up what's out there first.
All right.
That's how I see it.
Okay, your turn.
My turn. 10-10.
Yeah, 10-10. Yeah, we have a firm date. Well, as firm as last time anyway, but 10-10. But there was more to 10-10 than, well, let's just say a confirmation about 10-10 that was, I don't know, there was a little more emphasis on.
Like the extra stuff.
Two more things. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure how to read into that. I'm not sure if that's. I really was hoping that we would see the other vehicles, like an unveiling of them. I think it's pretty clear they're not going to be doing that. He does, he was very clear that they don't want to Osborne themselves. But yeah, hopefully it's more of just like functionality of a dedicated robotaxi, like other cool things, how to use it. Things that maybe we're not thinking of right now when we think of a robotaxi, because we're just thinking from our for me 30 something, for you 40 something years of driving in a normal car.
60 something.
We have this like we see what we know, and sometimes it's hard to think outside that box. And I'm sure they've been thinking about this for a while in ways that we haven't been. And so hopefully we'd see some cool things along those lines.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Totally okay with him for Tesla to take a stake in xAI.
Yeah, that was funny. Not the question I was asked. And Elon somehow spun it into that. I thought that was interesting. Maybe he just misinterpreted the question, but it definitely was not the question that was asked. At least that's not what I heard. But yeah, that was interesting. Not sure how I would feel about that. But he almost implied that the only way to have a Grok in the car would be to have some stake in xAI.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't think there's any way in the world he can keep. I don't think there's any way. I think you talk about insurrection, the insurrection that would take place if there was a speaking Grok online, and then we didn't have the speaking Grok for Optimus and for the Tesla vehicle. I think there would be an insurrection, and I'd lead it.
Yeah.
I'd lead it. I'd be Tesla, Obama, and I would be out there with our pitchforks.
Yeah, it'd be weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a stock swap, is what I'd like to see. A reasonable stock swap between the two companies. It might be 3% of Tesla for 10%, or I don't, some, whatever would be a fair swap.
That's just hard because I just see more value in Tesla than XAI.
Well, then
Like
you
I
need
don't.
1% of Tesla for 20% of XAI.
Yeah. But then that's everything that they didn't want to begin with, was to be, I don't know. It's hard without knowing the motives of the founders. Like why didn't they want to be associated with Tesla specifically?
Well, he
Like
said
was it just because you wanted?
he was
Go ahead.
pretty clear. He said he couldn't hire.
No, I'm saying whatever that reason is, that they didn't want to just join Tesla. Instead, they want to do their own thing.
He said they wanted a startup company so they could get startup stock.
No, he didn't say that. He didn't say so they could get startup stock. We don't know their reason. Their reason might be because they just don't want to be tied to Tesla. They may not want to. And there might be something there. Is all I'm saying. And so maybe they wouldn't want to have investment from a big, behemoth like Tesla.
Right.
Maybe they want to be more independent and not have one big influential, party.
Right. That would be,
I don't know.
That would be sitting there forcing them to go in some direction or another. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like, hey, you have to get this done for Optimus. You have to get this done for FSD. And they're like, hello, this is not a priority for us. We get it's for you, not for us. Like that could be a real thing.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. Your turn.
I don't think there's anything else for me.
Multiple OEMs discussing FSD licensing.
You're right. That was a good one. That was a very good one. And the comment of it couldn't be, Elon would not be up for a deal in the thousands or tens of thousands. It had to be millions.
Right. Yeah. And that it would take years, probably. Yeah, it probably depends on the company. I would imagine the Chinese could do it faster than the General Motors or a Ford or a Mercedes. But yeah, so multiple OEMs in the discussion phase on FSD licensing. I think that's a pretty darn big deal.
It's clearly Ford's one of them. It's so clear now.
Well, General Motors after the announcement today that they've abandoned their project.
I know, it's not wild.
Yeah.
They do that, and then Google announces they're putting $5 billion into Waymo.
I know. Is that crazy? Oh man. Okay, let's see here. Also, 4680 the drive version is planning to ramp starting in Q4. We kind of had heard, a bunch of talk and conversation about that, but he made it very, very clear. Or they actually, I think it was one of the other speakers who said, yeah, they're getting it ready to go and expect to ramp it in the Q4, and that should be a pretty darn significant thing.
I would love to see that. It was good to see it confirmed because those rumors were circulating. Yeah, I think that's great. I don't know what that means in the big scheme of things, like how that really plays out, but it definitely seems like it's a breakthrough that they've been waiting to get to for a while.
So this was not part of the call, but it was just a kind of an overview thought that I had coming out of the call. 2025 should see Model Y, Juniper, the new Juniper, Gen 2.25, Cybercab, Semi, Roadster, all rolling out. That's a pretty big model year breakout.
Yeah. 2025 should be a big year if all this comes to fruition.
Yeah, exactly. I was a little sad on the Semi. I thought it was going to happen sooner, but again, these things, we've learned, I think, a little bit to be patient. Let's see.
Things happen when they should.
Here was another one. This is something that nobody except you and I, or a few people that really pay attention to stuff, is going to have a clue. Utilization of the mega packs with utilities, with existing utilities, can double or triple the productive capacity of those existing facilities. Never heard anything like that before. I knew it could improve, but double or triple?
Yeah, that was again another one of those where it was like you say something like that, and it's like, all right, let's take a step back. What do you mean? Like, let's double, triple click into this. Like, expand on what you mean. In what sense? Like, what all are you pulling in to get to that number? Not saying that I doubt him. It's just like you hear that, and it's like, all right, that's not something you just take on face value, you know?
Yeah, so I mean, I understood the concept. So I think the concept was that you have to, and I've heard, lots of people talking about this in terms of even batteries I'm sorry, solar and wind, is that you have to be able to build your facility, build your capacity, your production capacity to hit those peaks. But there's going to be a lot of times when you're not using anything close to the peak,
Yeah.
and they end up bringing in these peaker plants in order to even back up that peak. So this is your steady states here. Then you got this high level, and you're going to build your main plant to take care of the high level, but you can't even build your plant that big. You need a peaker plant in addition to take care of crazy days or crazy weeks. So I think what he was saying is now your plant using a battery, you can now modulate. And I knew this modulation, according to the lady I had on the program last year, she said that's the number one use for batteries. The number one most important use out there that's driving battery adoption is actually to
Flatten the curve.
flatten
Yeah.
the curve on these major utilities, fossil fuel utilities. Well, if that is a doubling, even a doubling, forget the tripling, if it's even a doubling of the useful capacity of the plant, that's a big deal.
Yeah. I don't know. I take that with a grain of salt.
Okay, we'll have to look into it. We'll have to
Yeah.
get who can we get to work on this? It sounds like a Larry. We get Larry to work.
There you go. Yeah. Because I feel like it's like one of those things where it's like death by a thousand cuts, where there's so many variables to it, where you get just enough variables that you forget to think about or take into account, and it's like you're just everything's thrown off. Or there's some like assumptions, or well, 2 to 3 times based on this, not everything. It's like this point of view. It's like, okay, well, I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of context missing on that.
All right.
But it definitely, you're right, that did catch my ear.
Okay, let's talk about the thing that's driving the market down right now. And that would be the margin miss. I had 4 things in the margin miss. Maybe you had others. A lower average selling price was part of it. The impact of Cybertruck and Model 3 ramp, which will work out over time. Likely impact of the interest rate buy down, which we've been talking about for 2 or 3 weeks now on this channel. And then lower plant utilization definitely would have an impact. Do you remember any others or others that you think were impacting the margins?
No, I mean, I think you pretty much nailed it, but I don't think that's why the stock's down.
Okay.
You think that's why it's down?
Well, everybody's so concentrated on auto margins, and the margins
Are
missed.
they?
Well, everybody. I don't mean everybody. I mean a lot of people are still concentrating on auto margins.
I don't think they are. I mean, we were just on the earnings call, right? And did you hear anybody ask about margins, deliveries, production? No, they just asked about FSD, Robotaxi. That's all they want to talk about.
So why do you think the stock's down?
Yeah, because there was an implied move of 9%.
Oh, I
That's
see.
it.
Okay, I see. If it
There's
didn't beat, then it was going to go down 9. If they did beat, it was going to go up 9.
just in general, there's a 9% implied move. We're actually at 7 now, so it's even better. We're at 229 a share. But there's a lot of people, buy, sell, buy the rumor, sell the news. Lots of people who are ops trading, a lot of algorithmic trading that happens. So I don't think any of this is anyone actually making real decisions. I think a lot of this is either just technical driven reasons or quants and algorithms.
Okay.
That's my thesis. I mean, it's literally it's right. It's just too mathematical how in line this is.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. I hadn't really thought of it in terms of that side of the play. So if that's the play, what happens tomorrow morning?
Probably down, but probably not as down. Like,
I see. Okay.
I don't know, maybe more. I don't know, but I bet you, um, I mean, I bet you by the end of the week or next week things level out. Like,
So that was going to be my statement, is that my analysis of the earnings calls are that generally Elon is talking over the head of the regular investing community, the ones that are still undervaluing Tesla. But they're in it, but they're just not in it as much as they probably should be in terms of their portfolio. So he's talking over their head because they're still thinking that it's, cars are 90% of the business. And he didn't give them much of a roadmap with regard to how the next layer, the next run up of the quantities, the unit volume, dollar volume, profit volume. He didn't give any kind of a roadmap for that. And I felt like that was the missing ingredient. And that happens a lot on previous calls over years, over and over again. It's like, oh, he's talking about what's going to happen in 5 years. And then 3 days later, to your point, after it goes down, right after, during and after, then 3 days later, 2 to 3 days later, it starts moving back up again. Sometimes goes higher than it was before the meeting.
I kind of have a little bit of a different take on that. I think he's speaking to the Wall Street investors, and I think they're hearing him loud and clear.
Okay.
And I think that's expressing itself in their questions. Their questions were only about FSD and Robotaxi. And I think Elon's message has come loud and clear. Value us on Robotaxi. That's the future of the company. That's what the company is. And he's also talking about a Robotaxi unveil in 1010. And he's saying that potential unsupervised FSD 2024. We're making these new vehicles on the existing lines. We're not building new lines for those. I wonder why. Why? Oh, maybe because we think the future's FSD and robotaxis. And so we're going to build a line for that, not for this other thing that we think it's really like, think about it. Why would you invest so much money on new lines for a manual driven car? If you really think the future is robotaxi, like that would be such a waste of capital. You might as well leverage what you have right now that's existing, and your new lines you build what's going to be the future, because those lines right now, I mean, if you really think about it, if you really think this is the future, if you really think it'll be that cost effective, it'll really be that disruptive, well then all these other cars are going to be archaic and they're going to be rendered useless. They're going to be flip phones in a smartphone world. So I think they're hearing him, and they're going to start saying, okay, well, we're valuing you as a robotaxi company. Where are we at?
So
I think.
So let me hit you in the middle. Let me hit you in the middle. They're obviously going to be introducing a brand new 2.5 car. They're obviously going to be introducing a new an upgraded version of the Model Y, like the upgraded Model 3, even going to come out with a Roadster, which they've been promising for years and years. So they're still building new vehicles that they expect to have high volume. What I did hear him say, which I'd almost forgotten about, which has been part of a conversation that's been going on now on this channel for 3 or 4 days, we are going to be able to expand the capacity of our existing factories. So we heard about the 30% increase in Shanghai, and I've been asking everybody, Larry and Brian White, and well, does that 30% increase in Shanghai mean we can get a similar 30% increase out of Austin and 30% increase out of Fremont? And I feel like Elon just said yes.
Oh yeah, Austin for sure. Austin hasn't even scratched the surface yet.
Oh, I mean out of existing. In other words, that the capacity, we know that the unboxed is going to give a dramatic, increase in capacity and in space use, et cetera. But I'm just talking about the throughput, the 30% increase in throughput on existing.
Oh, I am too.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I
Okay.
don't know if you have you been to the Austin factory?
I have not.
Oh my god, like it's it's so there's so much room and like you feel like they could probably 10x what they're doing right now. Like not I'm talking about with what they have already.
Yeah.
Like when you're in there, there's just so much space between everything. It's insane. Like you see the Fremont factory and everything's like
Yeah.
it is not like that. And you're like, man, you can put like another 4 lines in here, man. You know, you could like easily double, triple the capacity on just what you got already.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, maybe I'm wrong on that, but my point is, I think Austin definitely looks like it can expand a lot more. But I think Austin's becoming more of their manufacturing experimentation pilot factory, right? That's where they first tried to do the Model Y with 4680s. That's where they're building on or learning how to scale 4680 batteries. That's where they learned to do the Cybertruck. That's where they're going to do Optimus. That's where they're going to do the Robotaxi. It's clearly becoming the place where they learn how to manufacture at scale with these new products, and then from there, you probably start incorporating that in the other factories.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe that's part of it.
What did you think about his statement that Gig of Mexico is now on hold until he can have a longer conversation with President Trump?
I think if you didn't see that coming, then like that's obviously why it's been on hold. You know, I mean, maybe not at first. At first, it was probably just because of the economy and the slowing down of things. But at this point, when you're this close, a year out, like you don't, you wait.
Yeah.
Like there's no rush.
So he should have a close enough relationship with Trump now. He should be able to get on the phone and say, "Are you really going to do this?" I guess not. Probably, huh? Yeah, Trump would probably have to tell everybody, not just Elon.
Well, to be honest, I think Elon probably wouldn't care.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean, is it inconvenient for Tesla and for us? Sure. But if OEMs can't build in Mexico, then what are they going to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're
Just
they're
more
F.
advantage, just a more advantage to Tesla.
Yeah,
Just more.
exactly. So it's just like the credits and all that. Like, yeah, it kind of sucks, but that's
Yeah.
it. It's you know what it is? It's high interest rates and high inflation when you're wealthy. It's like, yeah, it sucks, but it's not existential.
Well, speaking of that, thank you for the transition. Roughly 3 in 5 Americans believe that the US is currently in a recession. And this was according to a survey of 2,000 adults by a firm. They're a major polling company. So 3 in 5, 60% of Americans think we're in a recession. And the suggestion in the article was that, almost what you just said. If you're making over 100,000 a year, what does it matter whether the peas cost $1 or $1.50? It just doesn't matter. But if you're making under 100,000, it
Yeah.
matters. Yeah.
Exactly. It's on one hand, it's annoying. It's like I don't want to spend more than what I have to. On the other hand, it could mean like, you know, how many meals are we eating today?
Exactly. Or yeah, will we be able to go to the movies this weekend, or can we buy that many items for back to school? It
Yeah.
changes everything. It changes everything.
Now we're
So,
getting sad.
huh?
You're now making me sad over here.
Yeah,
Those,
I
those
know.
kids.
Yeah, well, I've got kids your age, and they're doing okay. They're in that they're, you know, yeah, they're doing fine. But I'm 100% positive because my one daughter has 4 kids. I know that inflation's impacting them. It just is. It's something that
Yeah.
they're having to pay attention to. Of those respondents, most said a recession started 15 months ago and could last until July of 2025, citing higher costs and more difficulty making ends meet, according to the poll. So there you go. So that's going to be a factor, I think, in the coming election, which of course has taken a very interesting turn since you and I last spoke.
Yeah. It's it's crazy. Every week it's
It's something.
yeah.
All right. Well, let's look at the markets. We've got Tesla was down 5 in the regular trading today, which of course it was up 12.5 yesterday. So up down 19 in the after hours. So a total of 24. So basically over the 2 days down 12, or what is that, 5%? Yeah. So down 5% net over the 2 days. So whatever it is, it's now sitting at 227. So 225 is a bouncing point. You think it holds at 225?
Well, I guess. We can come down to 218. If we don't bounce off 218, we go down to 199.
Okay. All right. Okay. There you go. There you go, folks. The technicalist.
I
Well, you're the only
it's
guy
just here.
that really looks into the technicals on the channel.
I'm not a big technical person like that, but there's a reason why you have these levels, and it's because other people follow technicals. And so to not know what other people are gonna do, what the quants are gonna do, what the levels are, like, doesn't hurt to know. Good
Gosh.
buying opportunities when you know they're gonna hit certain levels.
Now, see, there we are aligned again, 100%. I've said that 1,000 times on the show. All right, Dow down 57 today, NASDAQ down 10 today, S&P down 8, and the Magnificent Six were all up. Of course, Tesla was down. Magnificent Six were up, except for NVIDIA, who did go down 95 cents today. Kathy Woods were mixed. All right, let's go ahead and look at, well, any thoughts on the stock market action today? Have you concluded, as I have, that the pullback is probably over, the 5% is all that we're going to get for now, and that there's no rotation or very little bit of rotation, probably no rotation? What, is that all, everything you just said last week?
Yeah, I said last week, I said in a week from now, everybody's going to realize that they were wrong. There was a rotation. Earnings are going to come out, and then everybody's going to run right back into the Mag 7.
All right. Well, there you go. That's what's happening so far, and we'll see as the week progresses. So, will we have any more 5% or 10% pullbacks between now and the end of the year? Are we up and to the right from now on?
Ooh, that's a good question. It's I don't know. It's hard to tell. I would say put Tesla to the side because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But let's say like after this week, I think things pretty much stay flat or up and to the right.
Okay. All right. Between now and the end of the year. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. On bonds, we've got the 10-year up 1.7 basis points in the pre-market to 4.255, barely above my break at 4.25. And then 2-year unchanged at 4.451, giving us a 20 basis point difference for the first time in 18 months, or I don't know. It may not be all the way back to the beginning, but it's been, or 2 years, but it's been a very, very long time since there's only been 20 basis points separating them. This is supposed to be evidence when it goes back to zero and goes positive. It is supposed to be evidence, of course, that the recession is underway.
Yeah.
Do you buy that? Do you think it's important? Do you think that I've been foolish to even follow this all this time? No, you don't think that, of course.
No, I mean, like, I think it's important to be aware. But I don't think because something's happened, it's going to happen again. I think that is a premise to get caught on the bad side of things.
Okay. All right. Okay. We have got.
You know how everybody says like, oh, don't ever say this time is different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, sometimes times are different.
Sometimes they're different. Well, okay, but remember, I do think I agree with those 60%. I think we're in a recession. I think third quarter GDP will be down. Hey, GDP comes out on Thursday. Got any estimates? The street saying 1.9. Do you think they're right?
Um, I don't know anymore.
Okay, all right.
I'll believe more the revisions. Let's talk
Yeah,
down.
that's right. Yes, of course. Especially now. Oil is up 42 cents, but way down. It is $77.37 on Texas Intermediate. Brent is even threatening to go to 80. It's at 81.47. I've been reading a little bit about this. Most of the time, you would think this would be recessionary, and it might be. But it just sounds like too much supply, not enough demand. Nobody really sticking their neck out and saying, "Oh, this is because people aren't driving as much or whatever." Any thoughts?
Um,
It's a pretty big move.
yeah. No thoughts. Just more curiosity than anything. I didn't really realize that. I'll have to take a deeper look into that. That's definitely interesting.
Yeah. Natural gas continues down 1.55. We're at $2.15. Similar thing. I've been shocked to see natural gas down all summer. Now we'll get back into that other, trend where we'll have like 3 months where it should stay down and then start back up again for winter unless there's just plenty of supply. But back down to $2.15. So pretty low. Gold, all-time high, all-time high, all-time high. Well, I think it came down a little bit, but it's still at 2,410 right now. That's way up there. Silver, not quite over 30 again, just under the $30 handle. Copper down 0.13 at 415. So for those who think copper is the canary in the coal mine, it is it's not down yet, but it's down closer to the middle of its range. Any thoughts about any of that?
Yeah, gold's interesting. I mean, it keeps running. I've been seeing a lot of things about the Chinese are buying a lot of gold.
Yep.
Because they're kind of in, most Chinese, their net worth, their family's worth is in real estate, and real estate just keeps getting pummeled over there.
Yes.
And so I wonder if I imagine a lot of this is coming from China.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, apparently the South Koreans are also buying a lot of gold. And of course, Americans are even buying a lot of gold right now. The yen down, the euro up, but not a ton. So the Bitcoin, pick a day. Which day do you want? Okay, it's down 2,000 today, 65.9. For a minute there, I thought it was going to go back over 70 again, but no. Back my $10 of Bitcoin. I mean, I wanted to go up now that I own $10 worth.
Well, Tom Lee was saying 150,000, I think, by the end of the year. So
Right. So
that'd be
my
a huge jump.
my $10 will be 25 or something or
20. Yeah.
something.
Hey, if Bitcoin jumps to 150 by the end of this year,
Yeah, you'll be
I'm
good.
not gonna say that I'll have. I'd be lying if I said there wouldn't be a little bit of like, damn.
Oh, I see. Oh,
I
you'd be upset that you weren't in it. I see. I get it.
I'm not upset, but like there'd be a part of me is like,
Kind of like missing
you could have had one. You could have had one Bitcoin.
kind of like missing NVIDIA, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, the equities, Dow down 74 or 0.18%, S&P down 20 or 0.36%, and the NASDAQ down 108 or 0.54%. Alphabet's numbers came in pretty good. I was going to look, I forgot to look as to how Alphabet's doing in the, not Alphabet, Alphabet, Google, also known as Google.
Looks like they're down.
They're down $4. Okay, so the numbers were not bad, but they're down on again more. So the suggestion on one of the headlines at least was Tesla and Alphabet are leading the negatives in the NASDAQ. That wouldn't explain the Dow. So anyway, everything looking a little bit south for tomorrow morning.
So what do you think happens from here with Tesla?
So I think I'm really starting to, I was thinking that we were going to get a beat today. And I think, and everybody, I mean, I did a poll on X, and like 70% of the people in the poll said they thought there would be a beat, even above the numbers that were pretty good, you know, pretty decent numbers. There was going to be a beat above that. And I thought there would be a beat. I think that my optimism had overtaken my brain, especially with regard to the buy downs on those loans. We've been talking about that and what does it, how do they account for it? You know, are they really buy downs on loans, or are they using their own house money for these loans? You know, how's that working? We don't know. Maybe it'll be in the 10Q. But there was clearly, if you're putting, you know, most of your cars out there on these 1%, 2% loans, or even 0% in some cases, there's a cost to that. And it could be $3,000 a car, $4,000 a car. So I think I shoved that in the corner, and I think that's the big thing that got missed.
Yeah. And you know, Tesla's run up a lot and people are feeling good about it. You know, some people are in the green for the first time. But keep it, like, I think people just need to keep in mind the economy's still slowing down. We've got two major wars going on that we're somehow related, you know, part of. This presidential election is coming up. Interest rates are still really high. Unemployment's ticking up. Like, I get that some people might feel good because we've gone from 150 to 250, 230 now. But it's still rough out there, you know?
Yeah.
So I think once the Fed starts cutting, that'll give a little breather room for Tesla. And then to your point, everything that we're going to be seeing in 2025, October 10/10, like, you know, there should be some good things, but the truth is the core business, it's still doing strong. We still put what, 3 billion on the balance sheet. So that's good, but you know, without that, while I really don't think it's important, it's the only thing that's important,
Yeah.
because without it, we can't fund everything else.
Right. I
So
think, yeah, you need to make profit. I think, again, I think my focus has been for a long time now, 2026, when everything comes together. So, you know, it's like, if you watch the Elon Musk conversation with Peterson yesterday, and Elon was talking about percentages and percentage of this and percentage of that, that's how he thinks all the time. I've put like a 95% chance of FSD being complete in 26, a 95% chance of robotaxis rolling in 2026, a 95% chance of Optimus being sold to other people in 2026. I mean, there's just like all of the things that are being worked on. The percentage for 2024 might be in the 30s or 40s. 2025, it's in the 50s or 60s. But in 2026, it's like hard to even imagine that all of them won't be creating revenue and profits.
yeah, it'll definitely be interesting.
All right, well, we'll wrap it up here, as I always do, by asking you, is there any last thing that you have on your mind that's, you know, you're passionate about or you care about, or any of that kind of stuff that before we go?
Not really. Just keep your heads up. Don't let whatever happens tomorrow or the next day affect you too much. You know, give it at least a week, and if nothing else, not financial advice, but probably a good buying opportunity. I'll definitely be looking at how much, you know, call options are for 2025, 2026, just to see what's out there. I don't have any call options right now, but it's you know, I feel like things will be on discount, but at the same time, implied volatility is probably gonna be really high, so they'll probably be more expensive than what they should. So
Probably.
keep that in mind. Just because the stock goes down doesn't mean options are cheaper,
Right.
right? Because that high volatility sends option prices up.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you as always, Nicholas. And to all of you out there, it has been great talking to you.